What if the first signs of dementia weren't about forgetting things at all? What if they began with subtle, unexpected changes in personality, so faint, so easily brushed aside, that even medical experts often miss them? Recent studies now reveal these behavioral shifts can surface years before dementia is diagnosed, quietly signaling that something deep inside the brain is starting to falter. The longer these signs are ignored, the greater and more permanent the damage can become. Before we begin, if you want to stay mentally sharp and protect your brain for years to come, pause for a moment. Subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a sign that could make all the difference for you or for someone you care about. Staying informed keeps you one step ahead. In this video, you'll learn about some of the strangest and most unsettling personality changes that can appear long before memory problems begin. Recognizing them early can give you a crucial head start before the window for intervention closes. Number 1. Unconscious imitation of others. 3 years before her diagnosis, Linda, 72, a retired school principal admired for her composure, began mimicking people around her. It started innocently. Her hairdresser mirrored Linda's tone, and soon Linda began doing the same, picking up other speech patterns, gestures, and even mannerisms she saw on TV. At first, it seemed harmless, but over time it became obvious to everyone. A clinical report linked this behavior to early frontotemporal dementia, a disease that targets the brain's frontal lobes, the region that manages personality, social behavior, and self-awareness. As these areas weaken, the brain starts losing its sense of individuality. Without that internal filter, a person unconsciously mirrors those nearby, adopting their tone, gestures, and even style. This isn't about attention-seeking. It's not a quirky phase. It's a breakdown in brain control. Over time, the person can start to seem like a blend of the people around them, while their original personality, the way they once spoke, thought, and reacted, slowly fades away. Number 2. Overly formal or scripted speech. No one was alarmed when Jim, 68, began calling everyone, even his grandkids, sir and ma'am. He had driven trucks for decades and was always polite. But soon, he began speaking differently, using stiff, formal phrases in casual settings. His family found it odd, even unnatural. 2 years later, he was diagnosed with semantic dementia, a disorder that damages the brain's emotional and social language centers. Research shows that as the temporal lobes decline, people lose their instinct for conversational nuance. Tone, context, and emotional meaning become harder to read, so they fall back on rigid, polite speech as a coping mechanism. It might sound courteous, but it strips the warmth from conversation. To loved ones, it feels as though the person has been replaced by someone distant, someone who no longer knows how to connect. Number 3. Obsession with morality or justice. When she turned 74, Anna became fixated on tiny neighborhood rules. She'd call the city about missing recycling bins, or scold neighbors for things like overgrown shrubs or barking dogs. Her family laughed it off at first, calling her the block inspector. But 4 years later, she was diagnosed with early Alzheimer's. Medical research shows that shrinking areas in the prefrontal cortex, especially those managing flexibility, emotional balance, and moral reasoning, can cause black and white thinking and rigid judgment. What begins as mild concern can grow into a strict obsession with fairness and correctness. This moral rigidity is an early red flag. The person's brain struggles to weigh context, turning every small mistake into a major offense. What looks like overreacting is really the mind losing its ability to see shades of gray. Number 4. Inappropriate cheerfulness. At her husband's memorial, Margaret, 76, smiled through the entire service. She even laughed when someone mentioned his favorite fishing hat. Her family was stunned. She didn't realize anything was wrong. By then, frontotemporal dementia had already begun affecting her brain's emotional control centers. Specialists explain that damage to the frontal and temporal lobes, which govern emotional expression, can cause misplaced joy or laughter during sad or serious moments. This isn't rudeness. It's not indifference. It's the brain sending mismatched emotional signals, unable to align outward expression with inner feeling. As those regions weaken, a person may lose the ability to recognize what's socially or emotionally appropriate. Their reactions might seem confusing or even offensive, but underneath it, it's pure neurological misfiring, a broken link between emotion and response. Are these insights useful so far? Type 1 if you're finding them helpful, or 0 if you'd like to see different topics next time. Your input helps shape what I share next. Number 5. Childlike dependence on one person. After his wife passed away, Tom, 79, became unusually attached to his daughter. He followed her from room to room, called out if she stepped away, and refused to speak with anyone else. He waited outside the bathroom or paced the house until she returned. At family gatherings, he wouldn't leave her side. He seemed anxious, unsettled, lost without her. A few years later, he was diagnosed with vascular dementia. Studies show that as dementia progresses, many older adults emotionally regress, forming intense dependence on one caregiver for security and stability. This isn't just about affection, it's a psychological survival instinct. As their perception of the world fades, the brain clings to the one person who still feels safe and familiar. That attachment becomes their anchor, their last sense of comfort in a world that's steadily slipping away. The overwhelmed mind searches for stability in the only thing it still trusts: human connection. Number 6. Excessive sentimentality. Helen, 71, began tearing up at birthdays. She started collecting childhood toys, spending hours with old photo albums, and spoke about her late mother as if they'd just met again. She even asked her daughter to help her recreate family meals she hadn't made in decades. Her relatives thought she was simply nostalgic, maybe feeling her age. But 3 years later, she was diagnosed with early Alzheimer's. A medical review revealed that dementia can intensify emotional reactions to memories, especially as the hippocampus and amygdala, the parts of the brain that control memory and emotion, begin to deteriorate. When that happens, the brain forms powerful emotional ties to the past, often zeroing in on childhood or early life. What once stirred warm nostalgia now creates emotional overflow, tears, longing, or sudden bursts of deep feeling. It's not just sentimentality, it's a neurological shift unfolding quietly beneath the surface. Number 7. Unusual cravings for sweet or strange foods. Rodney, 73, had diabetes and never liked sweets. Then, seemingly overnight, he began hiding candy in his room, pouring syrup over meat, and eating peanut butter straight from the jar. He even mixed jelly into scrambled eggs. His wife thought he was just being stubborn, but it wasn't stubbornness, it was a signal. Dementia had already begun affecting his orbitofrontal cortex, the region responsible for impulse control, decision-making, and taste preference. Research shows that people with frontotemporal dementia often develop intense cravings for sugary foods or odd combinations, even if they never liked sweets before. This isn't just bad judgment or poor diet choices, it's neurological rewiring. When the brain's reward circuits malfunction, they override reason and health concerns, driving compulsive eating habits that feel completely out of character. If you're still following along, type 1 in the comments and hit the like button. Your support really helps more people find these insights. Number 8. Obsession with routine. Marianne, 75, insisted on breakfast at exactly 7 a.m., never earlier, never later. She watered her plants in the same order daily, folded towels a precise way, and sat in the same chair every evening to watch the news. If her routine was interrupted, a late meal, an unexpected guest, she'd become visibly anxious, sometimes even cry. At first, her family thought she was just becoming set in her ways. But as time went on, the behavior grew stronger. When her Alzheimer's diagnosis arrived, everything made sense. Scientists have found that early neurodegeneration weakens the brain's ability to shift between tasks or adapt to change. In response, people cling to repetition and structure as a coping mechanism. Routine becomes their shield, a source of control in a world that's slowly becoming unpredictable. When mental flexibility fades, predictability feels like safety. Number 9. Apathy or emotional numbness. Gary had always been full of life. He laughed easily, cried at movies, and always had something to say at the dinner table. But by 73, something had changed. He sat quietly during gatherings, rarely smiled, and seemed emotionally distant. His wife thought it might be depression or simply aging, but doctors later discovered he was in the early stages of mixed dementia, a combination of Alzheimer's and vascular brain injury. Research shows that apathy, the loss of motivation, enthusiasm, or emotional response, is one of the most common yet overlooked symptoms of dementia. It's often mistaken for stress or fatigue, but in truth, it's the brain losing its ability to connect with the world. The neural networks that once sparked joy, curiosity, and empathy begin to fade away. For loved ones, it's one of the hardest changes to witness, because the person is still there physically, but emotionally, they're beginning to drift away. These subtle personality changes may seem harmless at first, but together they deliver a powerful warning. In many cases, they appear long before memory loss. If you notice these shifts in someone you love, don't ignore them. Taking action early can slow cognitive decline and give families precious time to prepare. These odd behavioral changes might seem mild at first, but together they paint a clear picture of something deeper happening inside the brain. Spotting them early is your best chance to act before memory and independence begin to fade. What stood out to you most in this video? We love hearing your thoughts and stories. Share your questions or experiences in the comments below. Your feedback inspires us to keep creating practical, science-backed health content that helps real families understand and respond to the earliest signs of dementia. If you found this helpful, please pause and subscribe now. And don't forget to share it with someone you care about. Your health and awareness are our mission.